Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Sayyidi ya Rasulullah. This is Majid Qazi, and you're watching Voice of Kashmir from the studio of Washington. हमारे साथ बहुत ही मोतबर शख्सियत मौजूद हैं जो ज्वाइन कर रही हैं हमें श्रीनगर से. बाय ट्रेड ही इज़ एन अटर्नी जो प्रैक्टिस करते हैं हाई कोर्ट श्रीनगर में. बड़े सीनियर वहाँ पे अटर्नी हैं, लॉ प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, कश्मीर पे बड़ी गहरी नज़र रखे हुए हैं और एक सीनियर एक्टिविस्ट है, ह्यूमन राइट एक्टिविस्ट. और व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ह्यूमन राइट्स, व्हाट एल्स कैन बी देन कश्मीर के जिसमें for the last 73 years human right violation has been at the peak, but especially जब इंडिया ने अपना आर्टिकल 370 and 35A of their constitution once they revoked that, और कश्मीरियों के ऊपर particularly श्रीनगर के अंदर 1 million बूट्स लाए गए और ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन क्लैम्प डाउन किया गया और जुल्म और तशद्दुद की जितनी भी बर्बरियत की जितनी भी मिसालें दी जा सकती थी उनको उन्होंने वहाँ पे आजमाया. तो हम ग्राउंड ज़ीरो से ये इंफॉर्मेशन लेंगे और देखेंगे कि इस वक्त कश्मीर के अंदर क्या सिचुएशन है. तो वेलकम अंद्राबी साहब, वेलकम टू द शो.
वेलकम सर, अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम सलाम. मैं आपके तारफ़ का पूरा सही हक नहीं अदा कर सका, तो मुझे आप बताना पसंद फरमाएंगे हमारे ऑडियंस के लिए कि आपकी फर्म क्या करती है और आप क्या करते हैं ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन के हवाले से कश्मीर में.
जी, मैं अरशद अंद्राबी हूँ, सीनियर एडवोकेट. अपनी फर्म को लीड करता हूँ जो 96 में मैंने ज्वाइन की थी आफ्टर द मार्टरडम ऑफ माय ब्रदर शहीद जलील अंद्राबी एडवोकेट. उन्होंने ह्यूमन राइट्स के ऊपर बहुत काम किया था एंड वी हैड अ चांस टू विजिट जेनीवा एंड एड्रेस द 77th Human Rights Subcommission in Geneva. Then he was invited to America also and he participated in various conferences. He was warned that your life is in danger now in Kashmir, don't go back. But he trusted in Allah. He said, I'm not afraid of death. And he faced death very boldly, valiantly. He was martyred in custody and we have buried his body in the martyrs graveyard. मज़ार शुहदा जो हमारा है श्रीनगर में, वहाँ उनको हमने दफन किया. Then I took that firm, that practice which he was doing. He was serving the cause of human rights and the helping the poor Kashmiris who were in miserable conditions and are still in the same conditions. And we have no human rights. We have no rights at all. We have no civil liberties. And especially the present regime has denied all freedoms and liberties and all guarantees. There is no rule of law. Everything is broken down and we are living under siege, under gag. Nobody can talk, nobody can claim his rights. But a lawyer has to do whatever he can do in his own honest way by filing a petition, pursuing it. But the situation of human rights and civil liberties in Kashmir is very grave, very bad. And the international community needs to focus on Kashmir now because it has been so long now we are suffering, we are facing gag orders, we are not being allowed to speak. Every now and then there is internet is snapped, telephone is stopped, and nobody is allowed to talk. Press is gagged, it is censored. Media channels in local Srinagar channels have been stopped. Cable TV, I mean cable TV was stopped by an order of Deputy Commissioner, and everything comes from New Delhi. 153 channels or 200 channels giving false propaganda against Kashmir, and nobody listens to our voice. So that is the situation. And after 5th August 2019, everything has changed. Whatever little semblance of any constitutionality or rule of law was there, now it is now nowhere. Everything is in the hands of Indian bureaucrats who are only eager to secure plots and employment for their children and all these things. And they have acted as agents of New Delhi, and they were themselves calling themselves East India Company. They consolidated the Indian hold on Kashmir. and changed every and each law and every guarantee which was given to Kashmiris. And after this situation is that we are facing a real threat of demographic change in Kashmir, just like it happened in Israel and other parts of the world. A deliberate design to change the demography of the people of the Kashmir by settling the outsiders, allowing them lands, plots, and making allotment of huge chunks of land in favor of industrialists. This has been
राजे
provided.
राजे साहब ये बताइएगा कि ये जो जो डेमोग्राफिक चेंज करने का जो इंडिया का आइडिया है और जिसको वो बड़ा एग्रेसिवली परसू कर रहे हैं एंड देयर वाज reported by the same media outlets of India that over 200,000 or so settlers have been brought in from outside of Kashmir without the will and wishes of the people. So ये जो land ली जाती है, the land that they capture and hand it over to those non-Kashmiri citizens, how do they do that? I mean, Kashmiris obviously have no access to assemble, and they don't even have a right to stand out and protest against their own rights. So they just come and grab the land and hand it over to them. How the process has been in going on in these circumstances that we are living in?
You see, everything is in the hands of the lieutenant governor, who is an appointee or agent of the central government.
Hmm.
He can pass any order of allotment in favor of any Indian businessman, industrialist, in the name of setting industries. Then they have established security zones where they have established colonies for migrants and outsiders. So nobody has access to information because last year they changed the system of registration of documents also. It's all online. Maybe somebody sitting in New Delhi or Mumbai can get a deal done with somebody and get his land registered in his name. Later on, they will come and start construction there under security cover. And this is going on. So many thousands of canals of land has been allotted to army, to BSF, to CRP, to other paramilitary forces, to central government offices, industries. Nobody actually knows what to do. In
Is
the
that
name of
not illegal under the Geneva Accord? Because Kashmir is a disputed territory and they're not supposed to muddle with it. So is it not illegal? Obviously, the when it comes to illegal, obviously they have done so many illegal things. But I'm just because you're a lawyer, for our audience, I want to understand that isn't that illegal for them to do this democratic change under the Geneva Accord, U.S. I mean UN constitutions, bylaws, and the resolution of the UNO?
they have not shown any respect for any international law, international treaty, or covenant. They have absolutely shut down all the channels of communication. They don't respect their own constitution. You know, J&K state was having a very fragile relationship with Kashmir. According to Indian claims, Kashmir had acceded on three subjects only: defense, communication, and foreign affairs. Then they went to United Nations on 1st January 1948. There was a resolution, and there are then 17 resolutions. That is, the disputed territory and right of self-determination is to be given granted to Kashmir people. A plebiscite commissioner was appointed, and so many things were worked out. It was made clear that the Indian army cannot remain in Kashmir. They have to leave. Only a small contingent will remain confined to the cantonments. They cannot interfere in the local administration. And the plebiscite will be conducted under international auspices, under UN auspices. There is a UN military observer group appointed in Kashmir which monitors the ceasefire line or actual line of control. So Kashmir is an internationally accepted dispute which is on the floor of United Nations, and all these actions are in violation of those resolutions, international law, international and all the treaty obligations which India has towards the international community. But the present regime does not respect international law, does not respect the municipal law. Article 370 was a part of Indian constitution. It was in the nature of a federal arrangement. You can better understand in American constitution, the state government gave some powers to central government. it cannot be reversed. This trend cannot be reversed by the American federal government. There are 5 federal countries in the world who follow the principle of federalism. There is indivisibility or irreversibility of this arrangement. A central government cannot encroach upon the rights of a state government. What was the arrangement as per the Indian claim was that there are only 3 subjects on which central government had powers. The rest was with the state government. But in 2019, in utter violation of their own constitution, violation of all the accepted principles of federalism, constitutionality, international law, United Nations resolutions, and all the obligations of a civilized nation, they have altered everything unilaterally and without consulting, without giving any voice to the people of Kashmir. There was an assembly which was to be taken into consideration. There is a case in the Supreme Court of India. It was heard on 10 December 2019. I was the only person who was able to be present on the in Supreme Court because others could not come to Delhi. There was no flights coming from Srinagar. So I represented the case there, and it has not been heard since 2019. Even Supreme Court is being influenced by the Indian government. The case is not being heard. It was argued once by our veteran lawyer from Kashmir, Mr. Zafar Shah, and we convinced the court that it's all unconstitutional. This can't be done under your own law. Since then, no hearing has taken place.
So,
Last
so
two
what you're saying is that I mean, obviously, Kashmiris don't have a right to protest or plead their cases in the court, so they don't even have an access. Um, so there's no point of having Kashmiris to even think about that they would be given justice in the courts because there's no hearing taking place. Um, in the recent episode, when may Allah have mercy on the grave of Sayyid Ali Gilani Sabin, he passed away. He wasn't even given a chance to bury his janaza according to the rituals of Islam. And now I am told that the family members of Gilani Sahib have been, they have been sued for violation of these draconian laws. Would you like to shed some light on those instances that are taking place?
I live in the same area in Srinagar. In Gilani Sahab's residence was in Hyderpora. I am just less than half kilometer from that.
Hmm.
On that day, when we came out of the mosque in the morning, we saw a lot of deployment of force everywhere. We were not allowed to go out of our colony. We were sent back to our homes. Then we inquired what is the matter, and somebody told that Gilani Sahib has expired. He has left this world. Then I inquired from people that during the night, the Kashmir police, army, and all paramilitary forces were heavily deployed around that locality, and the family members were asked to bury him within 2 hours. They said, "We are waiting for his daughter to come, other relatives to come. It's not the way. We have to offer a janaza in the daylight. You can't do it like that." Then the Kashmir police, it's called a task force, special task force. They snatched the body from the family. The women were wailing, they were protesting, and they had put a flag, green flag with star, that is Islamic flag, that is hoisted on the mosques everywhere. That is Islamic flag. It was body was covered in that. Police say that it is a Pakistani flag. So they are being booked under some laws for that violation. And the body was taken from the family members and taken to local graveyard at Hyderpara Jama Masjid. A Maulvi was brought from the Darul Uloom Ashrafia. He was asked to give him ablution, and he performed the last rites. Only 10 to 15 people were available there. Family members were debarred and stopped from offering janaza. Body was snatched from the body. The burial was done by the police, and no janaza and no prayer is being allowed in that mosque from Jama Masjid Hyderabad for the last 2-3 weeks. I walk from that road. It is fully held by the forces, and no prayers are being allowed. There are not a question of any protests. This is the situation here, and the family is threatened that they will be booked under. We have a draconian laws here, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which is being abused, misused for harassing, threatening the people, and people are booked under this law and taken to jails outside. Then
So the
after some,
Gilani Saab family is still under arrest.
pardon,
Gilani Saab family is still under arrest.
they are completely under house arrest.
House
There
arrest.
is there is deployment of heavy deployment of force there. Even women police station, police personnel are there. Nobody is allowed to enter that area. The life is miserable for that whole mahalla, whole that whole locality.
The whole locality. What is the situation of schools? Do kids have a permission to go to school?
The schools are closed for the last 2 years because of COVID lockdown, and they take an excuse for closing the institutions in the name of COVID protection and all these things. And no institutions are working except some government offices. High Court has been opened, but the access is very limited. People are not allowed in. Lawyers are allowed to go one by one to courtroom and come
Hmm.
back after arguing. So this is a very limited thing going on. Life is very confined to
Con-
essentials on, basics on.
And what if somebody gets sick, and how the people are being treated who are facing any terminal diseases, or maybe COVID for that matter? Are they being given any treatment?
I have suffered, I have seen this thing myself in the month of March. I I was infected with COVID. I was taken to the local hospital, general hospital. There was total chaos and confusion. Then I was shifted from that place to the medical institute Sora, which is a specialized. There was no bed for me. I was on oxygen on the reception for 1 and 2 hours. I saw how people are miserably going here and there. There is no system working. Then I was shifted from there also to some other hospital where I got a room and I had to spend 15 days there. But there is no medical facilities available, basic facilities. People have to rush for oxygen cylinders, people have to rush for medicines themselves. Doctors are not attending, there is overcrowding of hospitals. So a total situation of chaos and confusion. People die and there are no people to take them to home. Ambulances are not available. I saw one ambulance in which I was carried. I talked to the person who was attending me. He said, "We have received only 3 ambulances by way of donation. Some Kashmiri doctors in America have donated 3 ambulances. These are
And this is, we
life-saving."
are talking about a city of 10 million people.
Yeah, yeah. This is capital of the Srinagar capital, where situations like that. What is happening in villages and urban areas, nobody knows. There are horrible stories about people dying without being attended, having any medicine or medical facilities, and they are just at the mercy of Allah. But being Muslims, they trust, they say it was destined. So they don't have any complaints with anybody because there's no government or there's no representation or there's no contact with the ruling regime. They're just making false announcements on media and all these things.
We've been told through the false media who are propagating the narrative of the government that Kashmir is every Kashmiri is being given COVID vaccine. Is that a true statement?
There was some Indian version of vaccine which is available in government hospitals, but people are not coming forward. They don't trust these systems. Very few people had got vaccinated. I think and it's not working at all.
It's not
People
working.
people get settled COVID even after getting vaccinated, and nobody is there to listen to them. Nobody is there. There's an Indian version of vaccine which has been spreading and distributed in government hospitals. Nobody has trust in this system.
Have you had a chance to visit leaders who are in the jail or maybe house arrest, prominent leaders of Kashmiri leaders who are who struggle is for the freedom of Kashmir, such as Yasin Malik, Shabir Shah, or even Abdullahs and Muftis and whoever is in house arrest. Uh, do you know what is the condition of their health? Are they safe from COVID?
Local youth have been taken to jails outside the erstwhile state.
Hmm.
I have some cases where the parents said that our children have been shifted to Haryana and we are not giving any access or information. Then we obtain orders from the High Court that at least give them an interview on video conference. They went to those jails, but the video conference facility was not made available. Yesterday, an old mother went to Central Jail Srinagar with a court order that please arrange a video conference to me with my son. And she was refused. And I am going to file again an application in the High Court that even they have not accepted the High Court order. And the senior leaders of Hurriyat Conference are lodged in Central Jail Tihar, the most infamous jail in India, which lacks all the facilities and very little access is given to outside world. And some people have been sick there and they have been abused, maltreated there. We have been visiting Tihar jail earlier from bar session. Annually, we used to visit his detainees and they report about their condition. But the last 2 years, no facilities given to us also. We're not able to visit the jails as and to go to High Court what is the condition in jails. The condition was already very bad. The prisoners from Kashmir live in subhuman conditions. There are no facilities, there are no amenities available which are provided in their jail manual. Then we used to report to High Court and some things would come, a doctor would be appointed, an ambulance will be given access and all these things. But the things are very bad. And now in this regime, boys have been shifted to outside jails where the parents find it very difficult to communicate, to visit there because of the hostile atmosphere outside the state. So
There was
instead
a
of
there was a story that I came across on the social media. Few handful of police officer or maybe security officers. That is the term that is being used in for people who are patrolling the streets in Srinagar. They walked up to a house and they barged into somebody's house, and the demand was that give us your 16 years old daughter that you have. Do you happen to see those kind of cases, or has anybody brought those cases to you that you have personally handled those cases where the youth, particularly the girls and the women, are being picked up and they're being used as a weapon of war?
you see the situation in this respect is very grave, very grave. The vast amount of powers given to security forces under Armed Forces Special Powers Act. They can go to any house, anytime, search it, and if they suspect that somebody is hiding, they can bombard that house. This authority is given to a small constable or a soldier, not to speak
Hmm.
of big. Then there are specialized groups in the Kashmir police. They are called SOG, Special Operation Groups. They conduct this kind of operations and all kinds of extortions and abuses and blackmailing and whatever kidnappings. Everything is reported from them, and there is no remedy for that available. And people are very afraid of reporting these things. And whenever something comes to court, the courts are also. Some days back, I told a judge that courts have become insensitive towards these issues. Then he called the additional advocate general and asked them that lawyer has made a comment about us. Actually, you are insensitive. You are not giving them proper facilities. But this is the situation inside the courtroom. Outside, and courts are reluctant to pass effective orders. No effective orders have been passed for the last 2 years in favor of good news or under trials or things are allowed to go as the government wishes
And
because
Rajesh,
of
sir, we have a whole lot to talk about, and thank you very much for giving us the time. We are running out of time. That brings us to end of our show. We are very happy that you are doing well, and Alhamdulillah, you have come out of COVID, and we pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to have a mercy on every resident of Kashmir and grant them the freedom that they well deserve, and bring ease on those suffering families who are facing the trauma of kidnapping, clamp down, suppression, oppression, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring ease on all of them. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for being on the show.
thank you very much. So nice.